AITA for walking away after my girlfriend called me safe, but not impressive? I'm Charles, 38, and Natalie and I had been together for almost 4 years by then. Long enough that my hoodie lived on the back of her couch, my coffee order was saved in her app, and every Sunday night we had this boring little routine where we folded laundry while half watching a show neither of us could remember the next day. I used to think comfort was what love turned into when it stopped trying to impress strangers. Natalie treated it like a waiting room. When I first met her, I thought she was the most confident person I had ever been around. Not loud, not desperate for attention, just sure of herself in a way that made people adjust around her. If a coffee shop got her order wrong, she could walk up, smile, say, "Hey, I think this one ran away from the oat milk," and somehow the barista would laugh while fixing it. She was sharp, funny, and polished. She could tease people without sounding mean, at least in the beginning. She remembered everyone's drink order, noticed when someone had a new haircut, and could walk into a room of strangers like she already knew where the best seat was. I was quieter, not shy, exactly, but I've never been the guy who needs to dominate a table. I show up. I remember things. I fix what I can fix. I thought Natalie liked that about me. For a while, I think she did. The first year was easy in the way new relationships can be when both people are still trying. She left sticky notes on my dashboard. I brought soup when she had a cold. We had dumb inside jokes about which takeout place was ours, even though we ordered from 3 different ones depending on who was too tired to argue. The second year, her jokes started getting sharper. At first, it was small. She would tug at my shirt collar in front of friends and say, "There, you look less like somebody's dad now." Or if someone asked what we were doing over the weekend, she would say, probably something very Charles, like comparing insurance deductibles and buying sensible socks. Everyone laughed. I laughed too, because I didn't want to be the guy who ruined the mood over a joke. Then the jokes became a pattern. One night, a bunch of us were at Brooke's place eating pizza off paper plates and arguing about a reality show none of us wanted to admit we watched. Someone asked Natalie what she loved most about me. She smiled, leaned into my shoulder, and said, "Charles is not fireworks, but he won't burn your house down either." The room laughed again. I smiled because everyone was looking at me, but something in my chest went quiet. Later, when we were back at her apartment and the dishes were in the sink and the living room smelled like cold pizza and her vanilla candle, I said, "Can I ask you something without it turning into a thing?" She was scrolling on her phone. That's never a good opening. "Do you actually see me that way?" She looked up. "What way?" Like I'm the boring, safe option. Natalie rolled her eyes, but not dramatically. It was worse because it was tired, like my feelings had shown up late to a meeting. "Charles, it was a joke." "I know, but it keeps being the same joke." She put her phone face down. "I appreciate that you're stable. That's not an insult. It feels like you're complimenting me by lowering the bar." She gave me this small, disappointed smile. "Or maybe you're insecure because you know I had options." That should have been a bigger moment for me than it was. I should have sat with that sentence and asked myself why my girlfriend thought the answer to my hurt was reminding me I was lucky to be there. Instead, I apologized for making it heavy. That was one of my mistakes. I kept confusing patience with loyalty. I kept telling myself that being mature meant not reacting. But silence can become a permission slip if you hand it to the wrong person. By the 3rd year, Natalie had learned exactly where I was useful. I don't mean she never gave anything. She could be thoughtful when she wanted to be. She planned good birthdays. She remembered my brother Marcus's surgery date and sent him a message. She made me feel seen just often enough that I kept believing the parts where she made me feel small were accidents. But more and more, my stability came with a card number. The streaming account was in my name because I had signed up first and added her profile. The rideshares after nights out usually hit my phone because Natalie would say, "Can you grab it? My app is being weird," and then forget to send me half. When we planned a casual weekend cabin trip with 2 other couples, I put down the refundable deposit because I had the credit card handy. If she needed paper towels, oat milk, rotisserie chicken, or those ridiculous spicy pickle chips she liked, she texted me on my way over. I never minded buying groceries for someone I loved. That wasn't the issue. The issue was that she liked my stability most when it came with a password, a receipt, or a card number. Then she would turn around and tell people I lacked ambition because I wasn't chasing some dramatic version of life. Not every relationship has to feel like a movie. She told me once while we were folding laundry on a Sunday night. I never asked for a movie, I said. I know. That's kind of the point. I looked at her, waiting for her to explain, but she just shook out one of my t-shirts and folded it with quick, sharp movements. What's that supposed to mean? It means some women grow up and choose stability. That was Natalie's trick. She could make contempt sound like wisdom. If I objected, I was immature. If I stayed quiet, she was right. Graham came back into the picture a few months before everything blew up. I knew the name. Years earlier, Natalie had told me about him in that way people talk about someone they claim not to care about anymore. He was the guy she had chased before we met. They had bad timing, according to her. He was always traveling, always starting something, always unavailable in a way she had once mistaken for depth. One night, we were eating takeout at her kitchen counter when she said, too casually, Graham messaged me today. I kept my voice normal. Graham from before? Yeah. He saw something I posted. We just caught up a little. Okay. She watched me for a reaction. When I didn't give her one, she added, it's not a big deal. Adults can reconnect without making it weird. Adults can, I said. People hiding behind that sentence usually can't. Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. See? That's what I mean. What do you mean? You make normal things feel like an interrogation. I had asked 2 questions. After Graham came back, Natalie started changing in small ways that were easy to dismiss individually and impossible to ignore together. She canceled plans because she needed space to think. She started posting vague quotes about growth and outgrowing small lives. She kept her phone face down more often, but she was also on it constantly. She'd smile at her screen and then go flat when I asked what was funny. She started comparing me to people who take bigger risks. Not Graham by name, but he sat in the room even when he wasn't there. One Thursday, Brooke texted me while I was sitting in my car outside a grocery store. Brooke had been Natalie's friend first, but after almost 4 years, she was my friend too. She was usually careful, not the kind of person who ran toward drama with a bowl of popcorn. Her message said, Hey, I don't want to get in the middle, but Nat said things have been tense and you're not handling her reconnecting with people well. Is everything okay? I read it 3 times. Then I typed, what does not handling mean? Brooke replied a minute later. She just said you've been weird about her independence. I'm not trying to accuse you. I just wanted to check. I sat there with my hand on the steering wheel, confused in a way that slowly turned cold. Natalie and I had not had a blowout. I had not yelled. I had not told her who she could talk to. I had not checked her phone. I had not even asked to see messages. The worst thing I had done was look uncomfortable when she acted like I was unreasonable for noticing another man orbiting our relationship. I typed back, I'm okay. I'm not sure what she told you, but I haven't tried to stop her from doing anything. Brooke sent, okay. Sorry. Just wanted to ask. That night, I asked Natalie about it. We were in her living room. The TV was on, but neither of us was watching. She had one leg tucked under her, phone in hand, thumb moving fast. Brooke texted me today. I said. Natalie didn't look up. About what? She said you told her I wasn't handling your independence. That made her look up. Her face didn't flash guilt. It arranged itself into concern. I said you were struggling, she said. With what? With me not making myself smaller just to keep you comfortable. I actually laughed once, because I thought I must have missed a whole other conversation we apparently had. Natalie, I asked you about the text from Graham. That's not asking you to be smaller. You don't hear yourself. I hear myself fine. You think you do. That was when I realized arguing with Natalie was like trying to grab smoke. She didn't deny the details. She replaced them with atmosphere. The first real crack came a week later. I was helping her bring groceries in. She had asked me to stop for oat milk, paper towels, a rotisserie chicken, and those spicy pickle chips that made her cough every time she ate them, but she refused to stop buying. Her phone was on the kitchen counter while she put things in the fridge. It lit up. I didn't lean over. I didn't touch it. I just happened to be standing there with paper towels in my hands when the lock screen showed Graham's name. The message said, you deserve bigger than the life you're describing. Natalie saw my face change and flipped the phone over so fast the case slapped against the counter. I said, why is he talking about our life? Her shoulders tightened. This is exactly what I mean. What? You make everything feel monitored. I read a notification that popped up in front of me. You didn't have to read it. I didn't have to be lied to either, but here we are. She stared at me for a second, then gave me that same disappointed smile. You're proving my point. I wanted to ask what point. I wanted to ask how she had turned one sentence on a lock screen into evidence against me. But something in me stopped. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was instinct. Instead, I said, I'm going home. She scoffed. Of course you are. On the drive home, I called Marcus. Marcus is my older brother, but he has always felt half brother, half emergency brake. He is blunt in a way that can make you want to hang up on him, but he's usually right before you're ready for him to be right. When I told him what had been happening, he didn't do the usual supportive thing where people immediately start calling your ex names. He got quiet first. Then he said, don't give her the angry ex she ordered. What does that mean? It means if she's already telling people you're controlling, she's waiting for you to act mad enough to make it look true. I'm allowed to be mad. Absolutely. Be mad in your car. Be mad in my kitchen. Do not be mad in writing where she can crop it. That stung because it sounded like a warning and a judgment at the same time. So what am I supposed to do? I asked. Facts, he said. Proof is cleaner than a paragraph. Screenshot what you legally have. Keep receipts. Don't threaten. Don't beg. Don't make speeches. If she's building a version of you, don't hand her the missing scene. I hated how much sense that made. For the next couple of weeks, I watched more than I talked. That might sound cold, but I wasn't trying to trap her. Part of me still hoped I was wrong. Part of me wanted Natalie to sit me down and say, I got attention from someone old and it messed with my head, but I want us. I would have listened. I probably would have forgiven more than I should have. Instead, I saw the pattern get clearer. Natalie stopped saying Graham's name, which somehow made him more present. She started saying things like, I just don't want to wake up one day and realize I chose comfort over aliveness. She would say it while drinking coffee I had brought her or wrapped in the blanket I bought after she complained her apartment was always cold. Then Brooke sent me the screenshot. It came in at 10:48 on a Tuesday night. Brooke wrote, I feel weird sending this, but the timing is bothering me. Did you know she was talking to Graham when she sent this? The screenshot was from Natalie to Brooke, dated almost 3 weeks before I ever saw Graham's notification. Natalie had written, if Charles finds out I'm talking to Graham again, he'll probably lose it. I'm trying to handle it carefully because I don't want him making me feel trapped. I stared at the date. That was the part that hit me. Not just the words. The date. She had predicted my explosion before I even knew there was a match. I replied to Brooke, no, I didn't know then. Brooke sent back, I'm sorry. I thought you did. I didn't sleep much that night. At 2 a.m, I wrote Natalie a long message. It started angry, then got sad, then got pathetic, then got angry again. I told her she was being unfair. I told her I loved her. I told her I wasn't stupid. I told her I could feel her turning me into a door she needed to escape through. Then I deleted the whole thing. Marcus's voice was in my head. Proof is cleaner than a paragraph. The hallway moment happened 2 nights later. Natalie texted me around 6 asking if I could grab a few things on my way over. Oat milk, paper towels, rotisserie chicken, and the spicy pickle chips. It was such a normal list. So painfully us. I remember standing under the grocery store lights, holding 2 different brands of oat milk because one was on sale, but she liked the other one better. I bought the one she liked. When I got to her place, the door wasn't fully shut. That happened sometimes if she was carrying laundry or trash out and didn't push it hard enough. I had my spare key in my hand, but I didn't need it. I stepped into the hallway outside her living room and heard her voice. She was laughing softly, the way she laughed when she wanted someone to know they had her full attention. No, Charles looks good on paper, she said. He's safe. He's steady. He's the kind of guy you're supposed to want after you've been stupid. I stopped with the grocery bag in my hand. The plastic handles dug into my fingers. Then I heard Graham's voice on the phone. Natalie answered, that's the thing. Safe isn't the same as being chosen. My body went cold before my mind caught up. She kept talking. I didn't really pick him. I settled into him. There's a difference. Graham's voice came through the speaker, low and smooth. Does he know that? Natalie laughed again, quieter this time. Not yet. But he will. I just need people to understand first. He doesn't know he's temporary. There are sentences that do not explode when you hear them. They drain the room of oxygen. I stood there holding the groceries she had asked me to buy, listening to the woman I loved explain me like a downgrade she tolerated. The worst part wasn't even the flirting. It was the planning. She wasn't confused. She wasn't caught between two feelings. She had already started building the exit before telling me there was a door. She needed people to believe I was controlling so that when she moved toward Graham, she looked brave instead of dishonest. I don't know how long I stood there. Probably seconds. It felt longer. Then I stepped into the kitchen, set the grocery bag on the counter, and looked at the little hook by the door where my spare key hung under a faded keychain from a road trip we took our first summer together. I took it. Natalie didn't hear me. She was still in the living room, still talking softly to Graham, still rewriting my life while I stood in it. I left without closing the door hard. In my car, I sat with both hands on the steering wheel and shook for a while. I wanted to call her. I wanted to storm back in. I wanted to ask her to repeat it to my face. I wanted to make her look at me while she said I was temporary. Instead, I texted Marcus. I heard enough. Talk me out of doing something stupid. He replied almost immediately. Drive home. Screenshot everything you legally have. Sleep before you speak. So that's what I did. I drove home. I did not call Natalie. I did not text her. When she finally texted, "Did you come by?" I looked at it for a long time and didn't answer. Then I started separating my life from hers. Not dramatically, not all at once in some movie montage, just one practical thing at a time. The streaming account was mine, so I changed the password. The reset email landed in my inbox at 11:17 p.m., clean and boring. I removed her profile from the shared music plan. I canceled the cabin reservation before the refund window closed and saved the confirmation. I went through Venmo and Zelle history and downloaded records of what I had paid for, ride shares, deposits, shared plans, random groceries, and small bills she had promised to split and never did. I contacted the office that handled the apartment arrangement I was financially connected to and asked the proper way to remove myself from anything future-facing. I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. I just followed the process. I took screenshots of my own messages too, especially the one I had sent Natalie a week earlier after Brooke's first text. If you want out, say it. Don't rewrite me into someone I'm not. Her reply had been, "You keep making my growth about your ego." I saved that too. The next morning, Natalie noticed the support was gone. Her first text was about the streaming account. "Seriously? You changed the password?" I replied, "It's my account." A minute later, "You're being petty." "I'm being accurate." Then, "Did you cancel the cabin?" "Yes." "Why would you do that?" "Other people were involved." "I paid the deposit. It was refundable. They can rebook without me." She called. I didn't answer. She texted, "So this is how you punish me for needing space?" I wrote back, "I'm not punishing you. I'm no longer participating." That set her off. She sent paragraphs. I watched them come in while sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee I didn't drink. She said I was cold. She said I was proving everything she had been feeling. She said a healthy partner would want closure. She said she was allowed to want more. I only replied once. "You can leave me without rewriting me." She didn't respond to that for almost an hour. Then she wrote, "Maybe you don't get to decide how I experienced you." I typed, "No, but I get to correct what you falsely claim I did." I didn't send anything else. For 2 days, I stayed quiet. I worked. I ate badly. I slept worse. I put things into a folder on my laptop that made me feel ridiculous and relieved at the same time. It wasn't a dramatic case file. It was just dates, screenshots, payment receipts, and conversations. Marcus came over one evening with takeout and looked through only what I asked him to see. "You're not posting this unless she forces your name into it," he said. "I know. I mean it. Don't fight her story with a bigger story. Fight it with proof, and only if she forces your name into it." "She already is." "Privately," he said. "People can be wrong privately. Let her lie to empty air if she wants. But if she uses your name as a punching bag in public, then answer." I hated waiting. I hated knowing people might be hearing a version of me that made me sound small, bitter, and controlling. But I also knew Marcus was right. If I went blasting evidence before anyone asked, I would look exactly like the man Natalie had been sketching. Then Natalie brought it into the group chat. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was cleaning my apartment because I needed something to do with my hands. My phone buzzed on the counter. The group chat had been quiet for a few days. It was normally full of stupid memes, dinner plans, and someone asking who had the address for someone else's barbecue. Natalie wrote, "I wasn't going to say anything here, but since plans are getting canceled and people are confused, Charles and I are done. I'm heartbroken, But I won't apologize for needing more than a life where I had to shrink myself. I stood in my kitchen, holding a sponge, reading that sentence over and over. A friend named Jenna replied first. "Oh, Nat, I'm so sorry." Someone else wrote, "Wait, what happened?" Natalie answered, "I tried to be honest about needing growth and space." He walked out with no real closure and immediately started canceling things and cutting me off from accounts. It's been scary how fast he switched. My jaw tightened. Brooke didn't respond right away. Another friend, Eric, wrote, "Damn, Charles, that's cold." Then he messaged me privately. "Man, I don't know what happened, but abandoning her like that isn't you." I stared at the private message until the screen dimmed. Still, I didn't answer the group. I texted Natalie privately instead. "Tell people we broke up. Tell them you're hurt. Don't tell them I controlled you or made you unsafe." She replied, "I said how I felt. You said I punished you for being honest. You left out what you were honest about. You're trying to manage my narrative now? I'm trying to keep my name attached to facts." She sent back, "You're proving my point by reacting like this." There it was again. The trapdoor sentence. Anything I did became proof. Anything I didn't do became agreement. I set my phone down and walked around my apartment once, slowly. I could hear Marcus in my head. Proof is cleaner than a paragraph. Back in the group chat, Natalie wrote one more message. "He punished me because I admitted I needed more than the life he could give me." That was the line. Not because it hurt the most. The hallway had hurt more. The temporary comment had hurt more. But that line invited everyone we knew to judge me based on a story she had edited until only her halo was visible. That was when I realized silence wasn't peace anymore. It was permission. My hands were steady when I opened the folder. I wrote one message in the group chat. I was going to leave quietly. But since you're turning this into a public trial, here's the evidence. I won't argue with a story that needs missing pages to make me the villain. Then I posted the folder link. The title was simple. Since my name is being used, here's the part one can prove. Inside were a few screenshots, not 50. I didn't include insults. I didn't include anything intimate. I didn't include anything that wasn't relevant. There was Natalie's message to Graham where she wrote, "Charles doesn't know he's temporary yet." There was the screenshot Brooke had sent me, with the date showing Natalie had warned people I would probably lose it weeks before I knew she was talking to Graham. There was Natalie's message to Brooke that said, "I need people to understand why this has to end, because otherwise everyone will think I just got bored." There were payment records showing the cabin deposit, the ride shares, and the shared expenses I had covered after she started telling people I limited her life. There was my message to Natalie. "If you want out, say it. Don't rewrite me into someone I'm not." There was her reply. "You keep making my growth about your ego." Then the chat went silent. Not quiet. Silent. The little typing bubbles appeared, disappeared, and appeared again. Finally, Brooke wrote, "Natalie, did you actually say he didn't know he was temporary?" No answer. Jenna wrote, "Wait, is this real?" Eric wrote, "I feel like we were missing a lot here." Then Brooke wrote again, "Nat, you need to answer that." Natalie didn't. She called me instead. I watched her name fill my screen. I let it ring. She called again. Then again. Then she left a voicemail I didn't listen to until later, and even then I only got through the first 15 seconds. "Charles, how could you do that to me? You humiliated me in front of everyone." I stopped it there. She texted, "You had no right to post private conversations." I replied, "You wanted an audience." I gave them the missing context. She wrote, "I was confused." I wrote, "No, you were comfortable." Then I muted her. The fallout wasn't loud in the way people imagine. Nobody stood up and gave speeches. Nobody made some grand public apology. Real social consequences are often quieter and more awkward. A few people stopped typing in the group chat altogether. Jenna sent one private message that said, "I'm sorry. I should have waited before reacting." Eric sent, "I owe you an apology." That looked different with context. Brooke asked if we could meet for coffee. I almost said no. Part of me wanted to throw the whole group away because it felt easier than sorting out who had believed what and why. But Brooke had been the one person who got uneasy enough to send me the screenshot, and that mattered. So we met at a coffee shop the next afternoon. She was already sitting at a small table near the window when I walked in, both hands wrapped around a paper cup she hadn't touched. She looked tired. "Charles, I'm sorry," she said before I even sat down. "I should have asked you directly." I sat across from her. You did ask. Not soon enough. Not clearly enough. She looked down at her cup. She made it sound serious. Like you were watching her phone and getting angry every time she went somewhere without you. I wasn't. I know that now. I nodded, but I didn't rush to make her feel better. The old version of me would have. The old version of me would have said, "It's fine," just to get the discomfort out of the room. Instead, I said, "I appreciate the apology. I just wish someone had asked me before deciding who I was." Brooke's eyes got shiny, but she didn't cry. I respected that. "You're right," she said. "I'm sorry. That was enough. Not to make everything normal again, but enough to keep me from resenting her." Graham disappeared faster than anyone expected, though maybe I should have expected it. I heard about it from Brooke, not because I asked, but because Natalie had apparently melted down in a separate chat after Graham told her he didn't want to be involved. His text to her was short. "I think you need to handle your situation before involving me in anything." That was Graham in one sentence. Smooth enough to sound mature, vague enough to avoid responsibility. He liked being the fantasy. He didn't want the cleanup. Natalie had blown up the safe life she mocked, and the exciting life she wanted suddenly had other plans. She tried calling me late at night after that. The first time was around midnight. I was awake, sitting on my couch, staring at a show I wasn't watching. Her name appeared on my screen, and for a second my thumb moved out of habit. Almost 4 years creates muscle memory. When Natalie called, I answered. When she cried, I softened. When something broke, I fixed it. But then I remembered standing in her hallway with grocery bags cutting into my fingers while she told another man I didn't know I was temporary. I let the call go to voicemail. She texted, "I know you hate me right now, but I don't know who else to talk to." I replied in the morning, "I'm not your emergency contact for a life you told people was too small." She sent back, "That's cruel." I wrote, "No, it's a boundary." After that, I kept everything practical. Belongings, accounts, anything connected to shared plans. Nothing emotional. No late-night processing. No closure conversations designed to turn my pain into her comfort. 2 weeks later, I went to Natalie's apartment to pick up the last of my things. Marcus drove me. He didn't make a big deal out of it. He just texted, "What time?" and showed up with his truck and a coffee in the cup holder for me. "You want me to come in?" he asked when we parked. "No, just wait here." He nodded. 10 minutes. "If you're not out, I'm knocking." "Make it 15. 12. That was Marcus. Natalie opened the door before I could knock twice. She looked smaller than I expected. Not physically, just less arranged. Her hair was pulled back. Her eyes were red. And she was wearing the sweatshirt I had bought her after she spilled coffee on herself during a road trip. Seeing it on her hurt in a stupid, specific way. My spare key was not on the hook anymore. The hook was empty. Most of my things were already in a box by the couch. A hoodie, a phone charger, 2 books, the half-empty bottle of my shampoo from her shower, a pair of socks that had somehow become permanent residents under her bed. I picked up the box. Natalie stood between me and the door, not blocking me exactly, but close enough to make leaving feel like another conversation. "You're really just done?" she asked. I looked at her. "Yes. You're throwing away almost 4 years." I took a breath. "No, I'm returning the version of me you never respected." Her face tightened. "That's not fair." "What part?" I was confused. "Graham came back, and it made me question things. I handled it badly, but you acted like I'm some monster." "I didn't call you a monster. You exposed me. You lied about me. I was trying to explain how I felt. You told people I was controlling before I even knew what was happening." She looked away. That was the first honest thing she did. She looked away because there was no polished sentence ready for that. I shifted the box in my hands. "You could have left. You could have told me you didn't want this anymore. It would have hurt, but I would have dealt with it." She wiped her cheek with the heel of her hand. "I didn't want to hurt you." I almost laughed, but not because it was funny. "No," I said. "You didn't want to look like someone who hurt me." Her mouth opened, then closed. For a second, I saw the old Natalie. The one who could make a room turn toward her. The one who could correct a coffee order and leave everyone smiling. The one I loved because I mistook certainty for honesty. Then I saw the woman from the hallway. Not evil, not cartoonish, just selfish enough to use my quiet as cover and my loyalty as furniture. She said, "I miss you." I believed her. That was the painful part. I believed she missed me. She missed the rides home, the Sunday laundry, The account passwords. The way I knew when she needed food before she admitted she was hungry. She missed the comfort she had mocked because comfort feels different when it stops showing up. But missing me was not the same as respecting me. I hope you figure out what you actually want, I said. Her eyes filled again. And what about us? There isn't an us. She flinched like I had raised my voice, even though I hadn't. I stepped around her. She didn't stop me. Marcus was leaning against his truck when I came out. He saw the box in my hands and opened the passenger door without saying anything. Only when we pulled away did he ask, "You good?" I looked out the window at the apartment building getting smaller behind us. "No," I said, "but I'm clear." He nodded like that was better anyway. In the weeks after, my life got quieter. Not magically better, just quieter. I had to fight the habit of checking my phone when something funny happened. I had to stop buying oat milk I didn't drink. I found one of her hair ties in my couch cushions and sat there holding it like an idiot for a full minute before throwing it away. Some friends stayed distant. Some friendships changed shape. Brooke and I were okay, but not the same. I didn't need the whole group to crown me innocent. I just needed my name back. Natalie tried one more time about a month later. She sent a message that said, "I've been thinking a lot. I hate how things happened. Can we talk without receipts and lawyers and everyone else?" There were no lawyers. That was Natalie again, making normal boundaries sound like a courtroom. I replied, "I don't want to talk about the relationship. If there's something practical left, send it in writing." She wrote, "So that's it." I didn't answer. Because yes, that was it. I used to think being chosen meant proving I was patient enough, stable enough, understanding enough. I thought if I could stay calm while someone tested my edges, that meant I was loving them well. Now I think love without respect just teaches people how quietly they can hurt you. What I did was not some grand revenge. I didn't ruin her life. I didn't chase Graham. I didn't scream at anyone in a parking lot. I stopped funding the comfort she resented, stopped protecting the image she weaponized, and stopped letting my silence work for her. She thought I was the man women settle for. Turns out I was the man she built her comfort on. And I didn't win by making her regret me. I won by refusing to be the backup plan she could still call at midnight. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.